Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Bible teaching snippet of the day. We are in the book of Job. And again, the reason I am in the book of Job is I am trying to break down those wrong beliefs that some of us have adopted and live with through wrong teachings. These wrong teachings, I call them hearsay teachings. What it is that someone will pick up on what has been taught to them, and they'll just repeat that, and they haven't investigated it or studied it out themselves. I've got to be honest with you here. I have never sat in a church where Job has been taught correctly. There's so many misteachings on that. And did you know when we put wrong teaching into our lives, boy, we get the wrong result. We have the wrong opinion of God, and then even worse, because we're confused, we repeat wrong things to other people, and sometimes innocent people get hurt through wrong beliefs and wrong teachings. Did you know the first thing I taught was God gives and God takes away? My heart is moved right now to tell you a sad story. I know this man that was in church, and he was faithful. He went to church. He tithed, he played a big role in church, but sickness came in and he lost a very, very close loved one in his life. And all of the wrong teaching that he had been told, where God gives and God takes away, he thought that God took that loved one from him. And this man right now today is not in church. He has lived in a backslidden lifestyle. And unfortunately, I've tried to reach him, but I haven't had any success so far. And I keep praying that God will send someone into his life that he will listen to and know that God did not do that to him, and God did not take that very dear loved one out of his life. Now see, that right there is why I'm teaching you this. I do not want anyone, beloved, to be taught wrong and to innocently hurt other people through repeating what we've been taught wrong. So let me get back into teaching you today. I can just tell you all of the reasons why I want people to know truth, because my heart is right in this. I want people to walk in freedom and not be held captive to lies and wrong beliefs. So yesterday I told you that in the entire Old Testament, the whole Old Testament, Satan is mentioned 15 times. The word Satan is 15 times. 11 of those is in the book of Job. Let me be clear here. Job's wife, Job's 3 friends, and even a young man by the name of Elihu, I call him Elihu. Elihu didn't even, although he knew a lot about God, he still did not have a revelation of Satan. So I want you to understand, even though Satan's mentioned 11 times in Job, none of the people involved in this situation have any idea that there's a dirty devil at work in this deal that's going on with Job. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit now and tell you that I want to give you a backdrop on Job. God's word or God's thoughts is not in the book of Job, except where we see God himself speaking, okay? Out of all of the different chapters in Job, God speaks only in chapters 38, 39, 40, and 41. Those 4 chapters alone is the only 4 chapters in the entire book of Job that we can say this is what God said, and this is who God is, and this is God's thoughts, okay? Now, there's a young man that I just mentioned. His name is Elihu, and he appears in chapter, I believe, 32. He comes onto the scene. And Elihu speaks in first person. And the reason I'm telling you that is because scholars believe, for the most part, that Moses wrote the book of Job. Some believe that Solomon did. Quite honestly, I believe that Elihu wrote the original book of Job, and that possibly Moses rewrote it out or had a copy of it or whatever, and he carried it forward. And let me tell you why I'm saying that. If you look over in verses in chapter 32, Elihu starts speaking in first person. Everybody else is being recorded, and it says, and Job said, and then Job's wife, and then Job's friends, his 3 friends, which you don't want those friends, by the way. I'm going to talk some about that later. But Job's 3 friends, it's all recorded in third person. In chapter 32, this prophet named Elihu shows up, and he starts talking in first person, and he says, I have sit and listened to all of this, and now I am going to speak, and I'm going to represent God. In fact, in Job 33, verses 6 and 7, read this. He says, truly I am your spokesperson before God, speaking to Job. He says, you don't need to fear me because my hand will not be heavy upon you. Now, he's telling him that he's representing God, but he's there because Job has asked for representation to be heard in God's courtroom. Now, he asked that to happen over in the chapter before that, where Job is saying, if I could only have a one-on-one, face-to-face time with God in his courtroom where he could tell me what I have done wrong and I could represent myself. So Elihu shows up and says, I'm the guy that God has sent to represent him, and I am an answer to what you've asked for, and so don't be scared of me. Anyway, I'm going to leave it right here today, and I'm going to pick up tomorrow, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Job's 3 friends and how wrong they are in the things that they had to say to Job. And I'll see you tomorrow right here on Facebook.